A rebuild over the age of 40. What is actually possible to achieve? Now, you might have already seen my video on everything that's involved in a rebuild, how you can start doing it, what tolerance is, why traditional approaches don't work, why this is the best next steps for you, and so on. But what is actually achievable? And again, I've just got some notes up in front of me. I'm just going to talk. So, of course, being pain free is probably the first thing that you think about. You just think, oh, in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year, in 3 years, whatever it might be, I just want to be pain free. I just don't want to live in pain any longer. And I totally understand that goal and I totally get that. But let's just reframe this for a second. What is the point on being pain free if you're still moving like a robot, if you're still missing out on those family day trips or that weekend game with your friends, or the long car journeys, you're still nervous about them, you're still dreading going on flights, maybe travelling long haul flights, even short haul flights. What is the point in being pain free if you're still living your life like a shadow of your old self? You still feel 20 years older than what you actually are, rather than feeling young again. When you were in your 20s and you were able to do all of these things without even thinking about your back, you experienced pains at some point. No one ever will live a pain-free life. That's just impossible. So, yes, getting out of the pain that you're in now, maybe it's a shooting pain coming down the leg, maybe it's chronic sciatica, maybe it's just a dull ache that's never seemed to move from the bottom of your back, maybe it's both, maybe it's something else, whatever. 100% beating that pain, because then that allows you to live the life that you want. So pain-free is just a small part of what's possible to achieve together. Take Ken, for example. Ken, when I first started working with him, he couldn't walk longer than 15, 20, 10 to 20 minutes without his back and hip and pain coming down his leg, and it was just totally flaring up. He couldn't do any further than that. That was his max. That was his ceiling, and that had just been dropping down for years. But it wasn't just that. It actually got to the point where this started affecting his whole life. He went from being able to train at his full potential and go out on day trips with his family, to not even being able to confidently vacuum clean the house, to not even being able to confidently put the washing on, to not even being able to confidently do the dishes or put the dirty dishes in the dishwasher. After working with me, we got to a point where he was actually training towards a 26-mile hike. Yes, he was pain free. Yes, the back and hip and the leg pain was so much less common. Again, no one can guarantee a pain free life. It doesn't exist. But it wasn't affecting his life anymore. It came around such a little amount of times now compared to before. And he was just actually living his life again. For a lot of people, getting the identity that they lost through back pain, through sciatica, through disc issues, through any pain, any back pain, getting the identity that they lost back is more than just being pain free. Instead of just working towards and your goal being pain free, buy into the moments. Buy into the moments where you say, wow, I've not done this for 10 years. Wow, I couldn't have imagined training for something like this. Wow, I thought playing football at the weekend or soccer at the weekend had completely passed me by, and now I'm back. Now listen, getting Ken from a 10-minute walk to a 26-mile hike, training for a 26-mile hike, he's still training. Good luck to him. He's not done it yet, but he's training towards a competition or a charity walk, which is a 26-mile hike. Now, getting to the point that he's in now was not a straight line. It was not just one day he can walk 15 minutes, the next day he's walking 10 plus, 15 plus miles. It was being on a trajectory, being on a journey, which included small wins and just stacking up these small wins, progressing these small wins, slowly submerging himself into bigger and bigger wins to the point where in 3 months, in 4 months, in 2 months, whatever it might have been, he was looking back and thinking, wow, I can't believe it. I feel like I'm 25 again. I feel like I'm 30 again. But stacking these small wins up is what's important, and it's how I want you to understand that whatever your main goal might be, or maybe you can't even think about it, maybe you do just want to get out of pain. Think about the small wins that you could stack up. That is closer than what you think it might be. It's closer than what it might feel. We hit small wins within the first couple weeks, within the first month, however it might look. We hit small wins straight away. The goal isn't to just go from no pain, or the goal isn't to just go from excruciating pain to no pain and just hope that we get there. It's stack up small wins along the way. Bring back the old person that you used to be. Bring back that version of yourself that you lost to back pain. And I want to be clear that you're not far away from that. It's not as if it's going to take some drastic change. It's just going to take an accumulation of stacking up small wins, staying consistent, and just having something to be consistent to. Now, Ken felt like, before he started working with me, he always felt like the minute I push past 20 minutes, I'm just going to do damage. What is the point? I've just lost this forever. I'm never going to get this back. I can maybe live in pain just now, but if I push past 20 minutes, what if I make it worse and can't actually live? I can't live with the pain any longer. So he basically just wrote off, right, like a hike or whatever, the 26-mile hike or even a 5-mile hike. This was off the table. And it was off the table because he felt like he was just someone who couldn't do it anymore. He felt like once he hit 50 plus, 45 plus, it just felt like he couldn't do it anymore. But we reshifted that belief into, build the tolerance. We'll start off with dipping your feet into that hot bath and slowly getting your full body within that whole bath. Shifting that belief and saying, look, you're not going to do nerve damage if you walk longer than 20 minutes. It might be a bit uncomfortable, but as long as we keep it controlled, if we went from 20 minutes straight to 2 hours, then yes, that would be too much too soon, then we could be making things worse. But if we go from 20 minutes to 22 minutes, to 24 minutes, to 26 minutes, and so on and so forth, and just be consistent, track it every week, slowly increase it. Some weeks we might need to decrease it, but we're always progressing, and we're always making long-term change within the tolerance to walking. So I want to change your belief. I want you to have that mindset shift of, well, what could be possible then? You've probably been writing off multiple things. I might have already mentioned it. Maybe it's that weekend football five-a-sides or soccer, wherever you're watching this from, or maybe it's that Sunday long run that you used to enjoy, or maybe it's just getting out a bike ride, or maybe it's just going that long walk with your family, planning those day trips. You're maybe just scared now, and you just think that's an impossibility for you. And yes, it might feel impossible just now, but shift that belief. Bring it closer to you. Bring that end goal closer and think, well, if I stack up small wins, if I slowly increase my tolerance, how far could I take this? Think big. Think, could I do things that I've never even done before? Maybe you've never even ran and you want to train for a marathon. No, I'm only kidding, but maybe it is something like that, or maybe it's you just think, oh, I don't even mind about running. I just want to be able to go on a long car journey and then walk for 3 hours with my family again. So even if these things feel impossible for you, I want you to change that belief and understand that these things are safe to build up to, and they're safe to actually attempt with the right loading, the gradual loading, the gradual tolerance building, the small wins stacking up along the way. And the point on building tolerance and rebuilding is that you get to achieve all these amazing things without having to wake up at 6 a.m. to do 30 minutes of stretching and then a 15-minute core routine, without having to go see a chiropractor 2-3 times every single week and get magic adjustments, without having to rely on massages to just constantly take the edge off of pain. And it's not that these things are wrong, but they never actually resolve anything. Look, if you want to go for a massage, great, there's nothing wrong with that. But at least you're not relying on that being the one thing that gets you through the week anymore. You're no longer just managing symptoms forever. You're actually on the course to rebuilding your whole life back. And forgive me, I am just reading my notes here, because there has been a lot that I wanted to get through. Coming to the end now, there has been a lot that I wanted to get through. And there's a couple more things that I want to talk about. With the right approach, you don't need any of these temporary fixes. When you're actually rebuilding and you're on the track to something, to these amazing goals that you have, there's no early alarms. There's no ongoing costs with treatments every single week, or eyeing up your next private MRI, private physio appointment, whatever. This is what finally gets you out of that exhausting cycle. And the cycle that you know that the next thing, like, you know the next chiropractic appointment, you know the next physio appointment, you know the next massage, you know these things, deep down you know that they're not going to work, they're not going to fix the position that you're in. But you still almost have hope that one day one magic massage is just going to bring this identity of yourself back again. But it's not without the small wins, not without the rebuild, not without being consistent and just stacking up progress. Because remember, these things only give temporary relief, and that's what we don't want to rely on. Because the destination isn't even just less pain, it's your actual life back. And by the way, that is a lot closer than it might feel or than you might think. Especially if you're watching this video right now, you know it's possible. I would like to personally invite you to the Rebuild Your Back Club. You can apply using the link below, where you rebuild your back 1-to-1 with myself. We stack up these small wins, we bring that identity of yourself that you've lost closer, and of course we have fun and get out of pain while doing it. But remember, it's not all about pain. It's about getting that old version of yourself back. If you're out of pain and still moving like a robot, and you still can't do anything and you're still stuck, then what's the point? What is the point? Check out that link in the description below, and I'll see you inside.